So I have said it before, and I will say it again, that it is very difficult for me to find the time to go ahead and film during the summer months. Now, I did do plenty of work in my garage over the summer months, and honestly, I probably should have filmed a lot of it. I rebuilt my golf cart, and according to my older brother, that would have made amazing content. I also pretty consistently worked on the Corvette and getting that car dialed in to where it's at right now. And I've been able to put probably 500-600 miles on it since I got the car on the road. But what I haven't had time to do is a single thing to the Honda's audio system build. As you guys can tell, I haven't done a single thing to this enclosure since I built that trim ring. I did have some time yesterday to go over it with some of this Bondo spot putty and glaze. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted to fill all these nail holes, because I'm planning on putting a coat of vinyl on the top of here. And then as far as the bottom goes, I want to protect it with some of this Herculiner bed liner coating. So I got a fresh piece of 220 in my DA, and we're going to go ahead and knock this stuff down. I moved my enclosure to my downdraft paint booth so I can keep the dust out of the garage. This thing's all sanded and ready to go. I am going to go ahead and put a coat of this Herculiner bed liner paint on the back. While the paint is drying, I figured I'd back the Honda into the garage to do some wiring work. If you guys recall, the reason why this project changed direction is because I hated the way this corner-loaded sub-enclosure was turning out. Running all my 4-gauge down the driver's side, pulling on my spare tire well, and really looking at this and going, wow, look at all the room I have for activities. And since I don't want to sit around waiting for paint to dry, we're going to go ahead and finish up the wiring and run all my signal and speaker leads down the passenger side. I made the decision to go ahead and remove the passenger side front seat out of the Honda to make things a little easier to run my cabling. Almost forgot to do a very important step, and that is to remove the negative terminal on the battery, because you don't want your seats and the airbags popping. And then I could show some of you my custom fuse holder that I made and got all my wiring done for under the hood. I will show you guys where I came through the firewall. And, you know, for the 6 of you that actually watched that video, me making that plate, thank you. And no, I didn't screw into my battery. So not the funnest part of most installations, but, you know, some of this stuff just has to get done. Kind of reminds you of the Jeep, huh? Here's the game plan. And these RCAs that I have, and hopefully you guys can see this on camera, these are the same ones that were in the Jeep. These are the new concept 4-channel RCAs. These are a great set RCAs, and I really don't want to throw them out or not use them in this project because they are a good quality set. I have my my piece of 4-gauge speaker leads that I did use in the Jeep as well, so I'm like to use that. So the game plan is to essentially run the 4-gauge speaker leads down the center and then pull the RCAs out to the side to get it back there for the amplifier. That's one of the reasons why I pulled the seats, to make it a little easier to run, because I can pull the carpet. I can even duct tape it down to make sure it doesn't move. So that's the plan we're going with. Okay, so my speaker leads right there. My RCAs are coming up, ready to go to the back of my Kenwood doubled in. Maybe a little short on the speaker leads, but I do have a plan B. Speaker leads are running right down the side of the console, up here, and then coming through this grommet. RCAs, to avoid any noise, are going this way, down the side here, and then through a 3/4 grommet back to the amplifier. In order to gauge exactly how much slack I needed, I put the amplifier kind of in its place, and I got the wiring ran over to the side. The enclosure dried just enough so I could drop this into the spare tire well. I've got a cool idea to mount it, and I'll show you guys that here in a minute. My power wire has the same grommet coming through that factory hole. I ended up using a threaded hole just like that with a lock washer, a bolt, and created my ground. That's coming around this way. Got plenty of slack. I will be reassembling this thing, and then I'll show you guys the enclosure, how it's getting mounted. So due to the camera dying while I was in the middle of spraying glue, I had to let this thing charge a little bit. And you know what? While I was letting it charge, I went ahead and took some measurements of the center line in the back here, and I also did a center line in the front. And then if you could see with my laser level, I've got the center points marked on the enclosure, so now I'm in a good position to start locking this thing into place once and for all. I did get the vinyl done, and it's not the best vinyl job I've ever done, but, you know, certainly not the worst. And, you know, luckily, you're not going to see any of this anyway, so I'm maybe just being a little overcritical on myself. To mount the enclosure, I built this guy, and I used a hole saw with a 45-degree chamfer. My Forstner bit to mount a bolt through the center of this guy, and then I drilled a hole in the bottom of the enclosure, which gives it a little bit of adjustability. And honestly, this thing screws right into where the spare tire mounts. And it's going to work out perfectly. I'm not going to have to blast holes in the sides of the car or the bottom of the car, and it's a factory mounting point. So we're going to load this up and get this installed. So I got this loaded up with some glue, so it will seal up when it's all said and done. I'll find the hole. Sorry, if I'm standing in front of the camera. Here, let's do this. This enclosure ain't going anywhere. So I got a little bit more juice in my camera, and let me show you guys where I'm at right now. So I got the amp locked into my center. I've got sub-mounted. I've got a good size 1/2-inch hole with some hot glue holding it, holding the wire into place and sealing it up as well. Gonna run it back this way. I got 2 leads because it's a dual voice coil woofer, and if I figure out I want to change the impedance to see how it sounds, I don't want to have to pull the woofer out of the box. All my wiring, you can see, it's all wire tied, wrapped up, and it's going back through those grommets, going all the way up to the front. Power wire, same way, coming around this way, coming right into here, got it tied in. So this is ready to make look pretty. Well, I got to hook up the sub. Then we're making it look pretty. I ended up pulling the radio so I can wire in the RCAs. I ended up getting the speaker leads ready to go. I don't have enough to get up here, and to be honest with you, either I gotta order another cable and wait for it, or I just kind of splice it in down here. So I decided to splice it in. Not really what I want to do, but it's gonna have to be. I did add a relay for my turn on when I did my radio install, if you guys remember that. Yeah, look at me, thinking ahead. So the seat's back in. I've got everything ran and wired all the way down here. Now, let me explain something to you aspiring car stereo installers. If you want your radio to work after you do something like this, make sure you plug it back in. So I propped my light up because I promised you guys I'd show you where I came through the firewall on this car, and right there you can see I made a little slit in the grommet, was able to push the 4-gauge through. So I'm officially done for today, and I figured I'd play some royalty-free music to show you guys the finished product, well, at least for today. All my wiring is nice and neat. I do like how I didn't have to drill any holes in the car. Guys, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Now that everything is in and wired up and sounds pretty dang good, next video we're going to make this thing look pretty. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't done so. We'll see you next time.